going to talk about the explanation of the celebration of the Day of the Dead. This celebration starts at November 1st in midnight and continues until the 2nd November. This is celebrating the memories of the dead ones. These have an importance in all Mexico, but in some towns and states the way to celebrate and the traditions are not the same. There are some variations in every state, but in fact there are some things that are always in all the states, that are the next. The altar is the base of these celebrations. This is the method that the dead use to come and visit us. In the altar is usually put the food or the things that the dead like in life. Other thing that most of the states do is the way of the flower of cempasúchil that represent and is used to guide the spirits to their homes. The bread of the dead is a typical food in all Mexico these days, but is not the same in all parts of Mexico. There are different types of this bread. My teammate is going to talk more about this topic and its curiosities.
Characteristic of the Day of the Dead. The main characteristic of the Day of the Dead are the following. For the celebration, school chain sweets are used, called sugar skulls. Lithographs are used with characteristic phrases of the celebration. The dead are honored with epitaphs called literally skull, which present a joke between the dead and deceased person. Usually makes a domestic altar called altar of the dead, where various offerings are made. There the family of deceased place objects belonging to the honored deceased. Usually adorn the altar of the dead with papel picado, tecohot stick, cane arch, flowers, copal, incense, water, pumpkins, crosses, candles, pictures, bread, and portraits. All objects have their own meaning, related to the life and death. The cempasúchil flower is also placed on altars, which symbolizes the heat of the sun as the origin of everything. And customs allusive to death are used.
Now I'm going to tell you some interesting things about the Day of the Dead. The first one is that this celebration began around 3,000 years ago with the Aztecs decade. The second one is that there exist three types of altar. The first one represents the earth and heaven with just two levels. The second one represents the earth, heaven, and hell with three levels. And the third one represents 7 levels, who are supposed to be the levels that souls need to overcome to find the spiritual peace. The third one are the sugar skulls. This represents the dead people's spirits. Also, they symbolize life and they help to decorate the altar. The fourth one, we have the death's bread. It has a lot of versions of its origin, but the most accurate one is that the pre-Hispanic cultures made it until the way we know it as now. In the fifth place, we have the monarcha butterflies, who legend says that butterflies are, meanwhile they are migrating, they are helping the dead spirits to recognize and to travel around the living earth. But some of those are facts about the tradition, but the tradition is not like represented as the same in all places. For example, in the Barrio Mágico de Mixic, colorful altars and offerings for representing their culture and their dead spirits, where they can travel and supposedly pick up the food or the candies they leave them in their offerings. But also we have, for example, the Huehuentones in Huautla de Jimenez, Oaxaca, where people go and dress up as some Asian or old people and with a lot of music, but always using a mask of a really old people with a hat and huaraches, where they dancing a really move type of music. We visit in Day of Death, but also there are a lot of different traditions. Like for example, the most common is in the cities where they just like dress themselves like monsters or some characters for asking candies into the houses and for giving candies to the kids.
Many years ago, in Mexico City, near Xochimilco, the sad laments of a woman could be heard. "Oh, my children, what will become of them?" said a disturbing voice. While the mysterious woman was being listened to, the fearful inhabitants of the city locked themselves in their house based on a mud and stone. Nor did the ancient conquerors dare to go out in the street because the screams of that woman were really creepy. Rumor had it that it was the weeping woman, a woman dressed in white with long hair and ghostly appearance, who hovered in the air with a veil to cover her horrifying face. She slowly wandered through the city between streets and squares, and who came to witness his presence says that when she shot out, "Oh, my children," he waved his long arms in an angustious way, then disappeared to there and continued to the terrorized elsewhere of the city with its moans and screams. While the weeping woman walked through the square, she cried desperately. After a while, she went to the river until she lost herself little by little in the darkness of the night, and thus ended up dissolving in the waters. This happened every night in Mexico City, and it has its inhabitants truly released, because no one knew the cause of those laments. Some people say that the woman had a lover with whom she had never had been able to marry, thanks to the unexpected surprise of death. When the man died, he was left alone and sad, and she neglected her children to such an extent that poor little ones were left orphans without anyone helping them. Because of this, woman returned from beyond to take care of her children and desperately sought them, sought, scream, and laments.